an informative morning. Fel arfer, dwi'n siŵr pobl leol, ydych chi'n cysylltu Coleg Meirio'r Dwyfor a Grŵp Llandrillo Menai efo pen rallt a darpariaeth ar gyfer pobl ifanc 15 oed sydd yn mynd trwy lefel A a cyrsiau llawn amser. Ond mae gen Grŵp Llandrillo Menai darpariaeth llawer ehangach na hynny. So, although you probably associate Coleg Meirio'r Dwyfor, Grŵp Llandrillo Menai, with sixth form provision and pen rallt i Plas Heli, the work of Grŵp Llandrillo Menai is far wider than that, and we do have a very important brief in trying to provide for the needs of the local economy and local businesses. And this morning is an opportunity really for us to share with you the important work that we do with businesses and hopefully to engage some of you in some of our courses and for us to find out what your needs are. Felly dwi ddim yn mynd i gymryd llawer mwy o amser yn rhoi cyflwyniad. Just cyn bod ni'n cychwyn, just deud un peth, felly bod rai o'ch chi'n ymwybodol bod yn prifweithredwr ni, Glyn Jones, prifweithredwr y grŵp yn ymddeol, ac mae yna prifweithredwr newydd wedi cael ei benodi. A dwi'n siŵr fyddwch chi'n falch iawn hogyn lleol ydi o Eifionydd, Dafydd Evans, a mae Dafydd efo ni bore yma, felly dyn ni'n falch iawn bod... Dyn ni'n falch iawn bod wedi gallu ymuno hefo ni. Felly, drosodd i'r siaradwr cynta. Dwi wedi dod yma heb yn rhaglen ni. Felly, Steve.
Fi wedi gyntaf. Bore da, Bob?
Iawn.
Yeah, so just quick housekeeping. I'll do it in English, probably there's probably not that Geraint already. So we're not expecting any fire drills or anything like that this morning, so the meeting point, the fire meeting points, and there's plenty of exit points as you can see. It's the bike shed at the front of the building, so that's about it really. I hope everybody enjoyed the breakfast. Croeso I Plas Heli. David Hughes, I'm working here since for 4 years now, so I used to work in HSBC in my previous life. I know a few of you here, some familiar faces, and some I don't really know. I don't know how many of you have been here before in the building. I've spoken to a few already that haven't been. Yeah, so yeah, there's a few of you who haven't been here. So I don't know, what do you think of the place so far? Do you like the place? Very nice. So, a lot of people nodding, so yeah, that's good anyway, isn't it? So there'll be a lot of them. Wouldn't be great. And I think in terms of, I was speaking to your good man earlier on, and I think the location, I think that is really probably the major selling point of the place. If you look out the window, not so great today obviously with the, couldn't do anything about the clouds on the Snowdon Massif, but generally, you know, it's a great place. I think there's a real feel-good factor, and I think, you know, forget about all the figures and what have you. I think that, for me, is what it's about. And I'm probably saying everything that's in the PowerPoint presentation, but who cares? I think, for me, it's all about getting local people here, tourists, and I think if we can just think along those lines, I think we'll be going in the right direction. So, there's a quick video here of, as you can see, September 2014, January 2015. We moved in last year. It was all a bit quick. I get a lot of people, they come into the reception and they go, this wasn't here last year. Where was it? Well, it wasn't here. So it's just a little quick sort of overview of the building, which I hope you like. And you will have to listen to me going on. me on top of a pole for the last 12 months. Just taking video of the... Okay, so... I say, I'm not going to bore you with facts and figures, but for those of you that may not know a little bit of background, it's this building, along with some road and marine works, has all come from European Regeneration Development Fund. We won't talk a lot about Europe today, so any English people in here, so we will mention that again, maybe not. And it was a package brought together with the Welsh Government and Gwynedd Council, so there's some figures there based on turnover, the first 9 months, £500,000, producing 4.4 million local economy. Don't ask me how we got to that figure, don't know. But again, 37,000 bed nights, 3 million to the local economy. And as I said earlier, I think it's a Welsh Sailing Academy and event centre. So that puts the events on the table for you. I think you'll probably notice it's a varied calendar, and that's really, I think, in essence, sort of the future of this place. It's multifunctional, so it can do a lot of things, like breakfast meetings. But I think as I said earlier, it needs to be a community asset, and it is a community enterprise company, so not for profit, run by a board of directors and staff, non-remunerated directors, I may add. So I think it's really important that we involve and engage with the community. For example, today we've got Glanamore here doing some sailing. They're having some taster sessions. So I have put some wetsuits to one side, so if anybody wants to go out and have a little sail. But I'm more than happy if anybody wants to go around the building afterwards. I'm more than happy to spend some time with you, and if anybody's got some questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Whether I'll be able to answer them isn't a matter. You'll notice there's a big hub over there, a big shed, if you like. We don't call it a shed, we call it a hub. That was a grant from Sports Wales to, basically, it's all about bringing local clubs, mainly kayak. What was that? That's probably the next YouTube video, isn't it? So, anyway, where was I? Lost my chain of thought now. What was I talking about?
The hub.
Oh yeah. So you've got kayaking, sailing, rowing, and there's also a surf club. We don't surf here, but so it's all about bringing local clubs together, volunteers, and then I think we've really made progress over the last few years, and I think we are going in the right direction, and I think that's a really important part of it. Sorry, they don't call me Dave IT for nothing, you know. Or IT Dave. Yeah, inside basically there's obviously a bar. I'm not sure if it's open now, but there's a cafe and a restaurant option, and obviously we've got really nice views, and we don't even charge for the view either, so the view is free. There's meeting rooms for hire, changing rooms downstairs. As I say, I'm more than happy to go around with you after. The main hall there, as I say, we've had from scrutinising rally cars in there, we've had a variety of events in there. So, and there's a big, massive compound over there which allows you to have numbers here for sailing and other events. We've had triathlons and all that kind of stuff. So, if anybody's got any ideas, I'm more than happy to listen to. And again, concerts, weddings, funerals as well, I haven't put in there. Meetings, exhibitions, fairs, conferences, parties, lectures, workshops, sporting events. So I think it really is multifunctional. And I think that's one of the big advantages of the place is we can hold 350 people here. The Gŵp Llandrillo is coming as well later in the year. I know Simon's looking forward to that massively. And as I said, it is home to a lot of different outdoor clubs. We've got the council parking there, which is always handy, that people always complain about nowhere to park. Yeah, free Wi-Fi. And Plas Heli can offer all this and more. And I hope we can. I think we can. I believe we can. And then that's the events calendar for 2016. And again, it's varied. There's not everything's on there, so you'll see we're going into that busy sort of summer of sailing. But there are other things like the food festival and so on. So again, if anybody's got any ideas or anything, events, anything that you feel would work here. My role is basically community development. And that's a kind of a map of the whole area really. The building there, the entrance to the beach. You've also got the coastal path running alongside this way. I think that's a massive thing that we need to, well, I think we are tapping into it already, but I think that really is a massive one for the future. Seeing a lot more backpacking people coming in here, walking, so they'll want a coffee and that type of thing. So I think we are slowly building something on the thing. There's some investments being made in and around the town here, obviously, and I think we are going in the right direction. But there's work to be done, obviously. So really, these are the council pontoons here. Havan run those, and then this is the new events pontoon. So Plas Heli own those, and then there's this is part of the project and the budget. And that's the old club there. So we moved last year, quickly moved over to here. That's the events compound. There's motorhomes in there as well that we have for events specifically. What else is there? I think just before I can show you another video, which is a little bit the before and the after bit. So the future, well, I think it's like any business or any organisation. I think it's the future is what you make it, and you know how you run your business. So I think we're going in the right way here. We've got a really exciting summer ahead. I'm excited. I do get excited now and again. They tell me. We've got a really exciting project, Friends of Plas Heli, Ffrindiau Plas Heli, and today the Glanamore, that is one part of that project, and it's a 3-year project. Anybody wants to talk to me about it? I think I may have talked to some of you already, but I'd love to have a talk about that with you. It's all about engaging with the community, bringing people here, giving them an opportunity to do and try and learn new skills and talk about the events calendar, the Wales Coastal Path. Yeah, I think the vibrancy of Pwllheli, I think we're really going the right way, on the llyn in general. And yeah, you know, we do contribute to the local economy, there's no two ways about it. But I think it's about everybody. I think the more choice you have for the customer, I think the better it is. I really believe that. Yeah, and it's about being, you know, this is not rocket science, but sustainable and reinvesting. It's a not-for-profit, the company, so it's all about ploughing that back in and, you know, getting as much out of your euro, your pound as you can. So, right, I'm going to show you another video. Hopefully, if it works. my IT skills will come to the fore again. Pretty impressive, isn't it? And when it lights up in the evening as well, it's that was part of the arts project. That if you come here in the evening when the building's lit up, it's you see on the video. It looks that was taken with a drone footage, obviously. That wasn't me again in there. But yeah, that's it really. Should we come in question now? Do you want me to take questions, or do you want me to just take people around after the breakfast? I don't mind either way. I'll chat after then, yeah? Go around after, yeah? If anybody's got any questions, I don't know. No? No? Diolch.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, if you want questions, just swap over computers, so we need to just get David's LinkedIn.
It's hard to follow that film. That was
So then
very
she's
impressive.
David from Dylan's restaurant.
I'll show you a short film first. This was made by one of our staff, Dave Ritalik, who's a bartender and filmmaker in his spare time. Are we set up? Just bear with. Okay, so I'll show you this short film. It won't take very long, and then I'll just tell you a little bit about Dylan's, about how we set up the business, the very important sort of business philosophy that we have, and what we hope to do in the future. But first of all, this short film should introduce you to our business. If you're not aware of it, if you've not been, or you've never heard of us, the task that we gave Dave was to introduce our business to someone who perhaps never seen it before. So that's a day in the life of our business as communicated by Dave Ritalik, our bartender. I'm unfortunately having to speak in English today. Well, I have to speak in English every day, actually, because I don't have any Welsh. Another reason for us not to talk about Europe is the football result last night. So both subject off the agenda today. I've lived in Wales for a good while and visited Wales for most of my life, actually. Growing up in West Yorkshire and then subsequently raising a family in Manchester meant that Snowdonia and Anglesey were always on our map as children and then as parents. And when we decided to buy a house down here with 5 young kids, we soon discovered that options for going out weren't always as easy as they were in the city for us. And in 2011, when my wife and I decided that we wanted to permanently live down here, we had to figure out a way of integrating ourselves into the area, but also we wanted to have a purpose as well. And we started talking about perhaps opening a restaurant, and we looked all along the North Wales coast. I've never had a restaurant before. I'd never been involved in catering or hospitality before that point. So in some ways it was a fairly naive concept to consider, but nonetheless we went along with it. And we looked all across the North Wales coast to find a spot, and found this little site, this boatyard in Menai Bridge. And if you've been to our restaurant there, you'll know that we tucked away at the back of the town onto the water, a beautiful location. But actually, before we opened, it was something that concerned us, that perhaps, you know, Menai Bridge was a fairly small town with a high street that ran through to Beaumaris, and most cars didn't even slow down as they drove through the town. So our biggest advantage, if you like, which our fantastic view, was also one of our biggest kind of risk factors, in that people would just drive straight past and not notice us. But we stuck with it because it was such a fantastic location, and we thought that if we had a great location, and if we put a great menu together, and if we gave people great service, then eventually, you know, the word would get out that we have this fantastic place in the town to eat. And that's how it sort of transpired, really. You know, we crossed our fingers and hoped for the very best. We weren't entirely sure what sort of menu we wanted for our business. And originally the idea was that we might bring pizza to the area. But we decided, again, you know, fairly fortuitously, as we were standing on the foundations of our building back in January 2012, that it would be a strange oversight, if you like, to not consider the location, the water right on our doorstep, and try to find out what was in that water and bring it to the table. And a seafood kind of, you know, focus to the menu was kind of, you know, developed from that point. We also wanted it to be family friendly. Again, a father of 5 kids, I know what it's like to sit in an uncomfortable environment trying to enjoy your meal when your kids are not really being tolerated or considered by the host. And we really wanted to make it a family-friendly environment. We wanted parents to be able to come into the restaurant knowing that their children were welcomed, knowing that they would be looked after properly, because from our own experience, we can enjoy our dinners when our children are enjoying theirs. So it was a really kind of important bit to get right in the original concept for the building. We wanted also to work with as much local produce and seasonal produce as we could. So it was a very challenging experience, really, as we got the business plan together, to actually go and find local suppliers who wanted to work with us, and who saw the sort of benefit of using our restaurant, if you like, as a sort of shop window for their own their own offering. However, we got there. We opened in June the 15th, 2012. It will be a night that I'll never forget, because we've never experienced such a kind of pressure with a new kitchen, a new front of house team, a new building, and a very enthusiastic line of people coming to eat with us. It was probably the most stressful evening of my life. But we recovered from that. We built a business over the next couple of years in Menai Bridge that became very successful, and we developed a strong reputation fairly quickly, to the point at which we then figured we should start looking for a second site. And although we were disappointed when we tried to secure a site in Conwy, it actually, I look back now and thank goodness that we didn't open in Conwy, because we probably wouldn't have found our lovely site in Criccieth. And if you've been to Criccieth, you'll know that it's this beautiful Art Deco style building designed by Sir Clough Williams Ellis that sits right on the beach, and we look up to Criccieth Castle in the distance in one direction. We've got the mountains across the way. On a clear day you can see Harlech Castle, and the wonderful Cardigan Bay extends beyond our front door. And I guess it's this idea that really kind of resonated with us, that you find a unique location. If you've got the location, you can create a destination. If you back that up with good food and good service, then you've got a really solid business proposition. And so it's proved with Criccieth that within 12 months we're almost up to pace with our sales figures in Menai Bridge. We have two very busy restaurants. This year's sales should exceed 4.5 million, which is fairly good going for a business that's only been in existence for 4 years. We're so busy, in fact, that we decided at the turn of the year to take on a third site, not a restaurant, but a prep kitchen and production kitchen. That way we can guarantee going forward the quality, consistency of everything that goes into the restaurants, and our poor chefs, who are having to work under some fairly challenging conditions, get a little bit of respite. And we're able to cut chefs' hours by two a day, in actual fact, by shifting over to a prep kitchen where we have 5 chefs working regular hours. And every day, as you saw in the video, we have a delivery van that takes prepared food. Still working with the same suppliers, still same fresh, high quality produce, but we're just taking the pain of prep out of the restaurant kitchen and delivering it daily to some very grateful chefs who now get a break in the afternoon and don't have to start work until 10 o'clock in the morning. So we've had to respond to the challenges of the business, and the good challenges to have, the challenges of demand for our product and our service, but nonetheless we have to find solutions to create a sustainable way forward. This year, I think we'll serve in excess of 250,000 people between the 2 restaurants. And we'll do that with a core staff of 130. By the height of the summer, that'll be up to 140, I hope, if we can find the staff, and I'll come on to that a little bit later. 57% of everything that we sell, that we buy through the restaurant is from local regional sources, and we really kind of fly that flag, and that's a really core kind of principle for us, that we work in with as many local suppliers as we possibly can. The business is growing from strength to strength, and we're having to kind of continue to develop and ask more and more of our staff. But we think that we're going in the right direction. We've had some very good endorsements recently. We were awarded top 10 seafood restaurant in the UK, which is a great accolade to have. We have TripAdvisor certificate of excellence. We're Michelin recognised in both restaurants. We were awarded the fastest growing hospitality business in Wales last year, and one of the top 3 large restaurants in Wales. So, we don't operate our business for these sort of, accolades, but they're great as a sort of recognition of where we've come from in a fairly short space of time. And it's great to be able to share that with our staff and let them sort of enjoy the success of what we all do as a team together. The business philosophy is something that we're really keen to stress. We kind of run the business in a very kind of clearly defined way. And a healthy balance sheet is everybody's kind of preferred choice, of course. And we all judge our success to a certain extent on the strength of our balance sheet and the profitability of the business, but we're always looking for other reasons or other ways of explaining and justifying our success. And for us, it's important that we try to seek win-wins with all the various stakeholders in our business. So we're simply not just looking at how much money we make. We're looking at how much benefit that we can bring to the community, how much benefit we can bring to our suppliers, how we look after our staff, and what sort of working environment we create for our staff. The supply chain is critical for us, and there's very little point our business succeeding and our suppliers not. So we have to create the conditions that we succeed and they succeed. And I'll use the example of our fishermen to make this point as clearly as I can. When we first opened, we worked with only 3 or 4 fishermen, and I think in our first year we spent £22,000 on direct purchases to fishermen. In 2015, we spent in excess of £120,000, and we'd grown that network to a dozen or so fishermen. And we work as closely as we can with those guys, and we have to make sure that it's worth their while going out into these fairly treacherous waters at times to bring us back the very best seafood around. Sean Williams is a good friend of mine and a fisherman from Puffcolman, and he came to us in 2014, and he said, "David, the wholesale price of crab has dropped to beyond the point at which it's worth me going out." And as our principal supplier of lobster and crab, that came as a bit of a shock to us. So we sat down with Sean and we worked a deal out where we would pay twice what the wholesaler was paying, and we would take all his crab, and I then had to go back and communicate to our kitchen and our head chef in particular that we were going to take 3 times the quantity of live brown crab that we'd been getting and process all that and make our crab cakes. He wasn't too pleased, actually. If you've ever had to process crab, it's not the easiest task in a busy kitchen. But the benefits for us were enormous, because the crab cake came onto our starter menu in late 2014 and is still, 18 months later, our best-selling item on the starter menu. Sean gets twice the amount for his brown crab than he was getting through selling to the wholesaler. His business is strengthened by it. Our business is really strong to the point now where we're looking at retailing the crab cakes, and we've got a number of retailers interested in taking those on and selling them through their own outlets, which again creates further demand for Sean and fishermen of his ilk. So working with suppliers is really important, and making sure that supply chain is secure for us, but also making sure that our suppliers are happy. There's no point for us having a really strong existence at the expense of those others. And so it's this constant need to find win-win opportunities that helps push our business forward. With regard to staff, we have the same kind of ethos, really. We've got 130 staff. You'll all know from your various activities how difficult recruitment is. It's the biggest challenge to our business, and it's the one which we now have to channel more and more resources into. We know, first of all, we haven't got a deep well of labour resources in this region. We know also that the levels of training and experience are relatively low compared to other areas of the country. And we know that it's often a region where young talent leaves the area. I was talking to the head of colleague from Llandrillo before, saying we've got to try and reverse that trend. We've got to try and make it an attractive proposition to get young people to consider staying here. You know, that means that we've got to give them really attractive career opportunities, and this is what we're constantly trying to do at Dillons. We have a staff development team headed by Colette, and every single member of staff is on a development plan, whether it's a cleaning lady working part-time, or a kitchen porter, or a runner just carrying food to the table. Every single person we sit down with twice a year, and we ask them what they want to do. We ask them, you know, do you want to stay in the area? Do you see hospitality as a career for you? Would you like to develop those opportunities with us? And as you see, the film that we watched was made by our bartender, Dave Ritalik. We have another creative writer who does some blog work for us. We have Gemma Webb, who is now our events coordinator, was a waitress, but she aspired to greater things. And we're constantly trying to find what people want to do and channel their enthusiasm and their energy into opportunities within the business. That makes our business stronger. That really does help our retention rates exceed the average significantly. And it creates a happier workforce. We poll our staff on a regular basis. Twice a year we send out a questionnaire. You know, what are the things that are bothering you about the business? You know, are you happy here? You know, are there things that you want to do more? And we benchmark those figures and we look. And I know from our last audit that we did 3 months ago, we have satisfaction rates in excess of 93%. In fact, there were 2 people that in our last poll that weren't happy. We've sat down with them both. One of them has left the business because there was no way that we could kind of reconcile their expectations with our opportunities. The other, we've kind of moved on to a different area. I always work on the principle that if someone's not happy and they've been with you for a while, it's better to find a way to make them happy than to ask them to leave and recruit and start from day one with a new member of staff. So we're constantly looking at how we can improve the experience for every member of staff and encourage, you know, a dialogue with every staff member to see where we can get them. We were awarded Investors in People Gold a couple of months ago, which again is a kind of recognition of the effort that Colette and the staff development team has done to create the right kind of environment for staff, knowing that at the end of the day, it's the experience that our customer has that is important, you know. And unless you've got a happy workforce, you can't really confidently expect that experience of your customer to be at its best. So we're working with our suppliers, we're working with our staff, we're working with our community. We have to be seen as an integral part of what's happening in a community. We set off with the intention of trying to embed the business into the local community, and everything that we seek to do is really about trying to share the benefit that we're experiencing and allow that to ripple through the local economy, the local community, and make sure that we're not sort of seen as this sort of isolated enterprise that's just sort of taking. The most significant thing that I think demonstrates that point is the seafood festival that we set up in 2013 in Menai Bridge. When we were opening our restaurant, we recognised there was this sort of disconnect between the market, you know, fishermen frustrated, feeling that there was no market for them locally and exporting pretty much all their product out of the area. And local people like ourselves at that particular point saying, where the hell is all this seafood? You know, we've got this fantastic water out here. We're not seeing any of it. So the Seafood Festival was really to try and address that disconnect. But under the banner of the Seafood Festival, we included lots of other activities, education program, science program, music and the arts and crafts, local produce. The whole thing we kind of cobbled together And it was very much, I'd never organised an event before. We relied on a team of volunteers coming in from the town, and really kind of brought the town together in a sense, that one event. And the first event in 2013, we got 12,000 visitors. When we were expecting 2 or 3, the whole town was just flooded with people excitedly kind of coming together around this sort of opportunity to experience seafood in a way that had not been presented before. It really did have an impact on the town. And again, my earlier discussion with the head of College Llandrillo, who came to see the Wales-Slovakia game in Menai Bridge from Carnarvon, kind of demonstrates a point that Menai Bridge now is seen as a sort of destination that you can come to eat, you can come to drink, you can come to watch a British team win a game of football, which is something that I'm not often blessed with. But it's the people's perception of Menai Bridge has changed in recent years. You know, we've got 27 restaurants listed on TripAdvisor now. We've got a high street with 100% occupancy. We've got a thriving local economy, and people are coming there because of this reputation, not just that we've created, but there are lots of other attractive propositions for people to come and have an evening or an afternoon in the town. In Criccieth, I think we experienced a similar thing. We organised a food slam there 2 weeks ago. I don't know if anybody went, but we got 3,500 people onto the Esplanade on a lovely sunny afternoon. Mike Stevens came along and played his guitar in the shadow of the castle late on the Saturday evening, and we put 100 hay bales out on the grass, and children were kind of jumping around, and everybody was really having a wonderful time. And lots of local people had come up to me through the day and said, it's great to see this space occupied again, because for 30 years or more, there's never been a gathering of that sort of size. And again, it's important to emphasise it was a really friendly, family-oriented gathering. You know, there were the 2 incidents that St John's ambulance reported to me. One was a little girl thumped her sister on the nose and caused a nosebleed, and the other was a rather naughty 16-year-old girl who'd finished her GCSEs, drank a bottle of Prosecco, and then come onto site and fallen over. So no worries that she'd had a drink on site. She'd actually necked a bottle of Prosecco, fallen over, was quickly taken home by her parents. But it was that sort of day. It was just a lovely, wonderful, family-oriented day where we celebrated local produce, we celebrated the wonderful views, and you know, these sorts of events are really important to showcase not just our towns, but our produce and the kind of potential that there is here. And I'll talk very briefly about our future and then what I think is important for the region. For Dillon's, we've established 2 very successful restaurants. We now have our prep kitchen in place. We've created a foundation that's strong enough, we think, to move on to a 3rd site, and we're looking back along the North Wales coast towards Conwy for that, and we hope within 18 months we'll be operating from our 3rd site. If you've ever been into our restaurants, you'll see at the entrance a range of sauces and retail products. And my challenge for the next year to one department in our company is develop the retail business. Every item that we sell from a jar or a bottle is something that has kind of succeeded on our menu. So our mussel sauces accompany the very fine Menai mussels. Our red sauce accompanies our burgers. Our butterscotch sauce sits on our brownie. You know, we've test marketed all our retail products with hundreds of thousands of visitors coming into our business and giving it a seal of approval through experience. So we know that the product works. We know that the branding works very well. When we've taken the retail brand out to the Abergavenny Food Festival or the Royal Welsh, the branding has stood up and kind of looks attractive, and it's not necessarily just attractive to someone who's eating at Dillon's. It stands on its own 2 feet. So we're going to push the retail products, and we hope, you know, we within the next couple of months we'll have a couple of dozen local food specialty stores stocking Dillon's own produce. We've had interest from Waitrose, we've had interest from Booth supermarket. We're not ready to go in that direction, but we hope at some point perhaps we can work with one or two top-end supermarkets, but that's years in the future. But we hope that we can build a solid base working with food specialty stores, not just in the region, but throughout Wales and perhaps into England as well over time. So we're confident, we feel that it's right for us to continue investing in our business in this part of the world. We think that actually the time is really great for this region at the moment. We think that the stars have kind of aligned themselves to give this region a really unique opportunity to develop. And I think you have to go back 40 or 50 years to see the same conditions as are developing at the moment. And I'll give you a little bit of my thoughts on why I think this is such an opportune moment for the region. We've got a world that's fairly insecure. We've got tourism maps being rewritten by the day, basically, and we know that the number of visitors potentially can grow significantly as people choose to not travel overseas as often. We know that if we market ourselves right, if we present ourselves tidily, we can be a much more attractive proposition than other regions in the world. We have the most fantastic natural beauty in this part of the world. We've got mountains and we've got coastline that compare to anything in the UK. And I would actually suggest that they surpass most of the opportunities elsewhere in the UK. We've got outdoor activities. This place is a great example, and I have to congratulate you for the film that so clearly demonstrates what a wonderful piece of architecture it is, but what a wonderful facility it is as well. We have Surf Snowdonia, we have Zip World, Bounce Below, we have mountain biking, we have all these opportunities for people to come and experience North Wales, offering something fairly unique, fairly distinctive. I think in the past what perhaps we've lacked a little bit is the sort of visitor infrastructure that matches the expectation of people coming inward. And I think what our business has a responsibility to do, and that other businesses involved in hospitality and catering, that bar's got to be raised to match the expectations of those coming in. Because, if you travel to the Lake District, Cornwall, even South Wales, there is a quality there that is attractive, it's appealing, it's consistent, and people go there with a certain amount of certainty of the quality of experience. And sometimes I think that's where we may have just missed our mark a little bit. But what works so much more in our favour, I think, is the fact that we're relatively unspoilt. We're relatively underdeveloped. And I don't know about you guys, but I won't go to the Lake District in summer. It's just too busy. Cornwall is a nightmare. Trying to drive to Cornwall at this time of year is an absolute nightmare. We've got the A55 that just brings everybody in within an hour and a half from Manchester, from Liverpool, from Cheshire. If we market ourselves right, there's absolutely no reason why we can't take more and more visitors away from those other regions. And it is a really competitive market. And we have to be prepared to shout loud. We have to be prepared to put our best foot forward and shout with confidence that this is a great place to come. And it really requires everybody working together. It requires the decision makers, the council leaders, the local government officials, our AMs and our MPs, getting behind it, this kind of potential, seeing the potential and seeing the need for investment. At a time when austerity is the word on you speak to anyone in the council, they just throw back austerity. I know how challenging the times are, but you've really got to look beyond, the end of your nose and see that to make really big change, to make significant difference, and to create a really strong and robust economy here, tourism is a key driver. Tourism has got to be given priority. We've got to start investing or continue to invest and find budget from an increasingly smaller pot. We've got to see the importance of supporting events, of allowing businesses with good ideas to develop and be prepared to support that. The whole future's left us with a great deal of uncertainty at the moment, but we really have to continue, in principle, to want to improve and to want to invest to improve is the only way that we can do it. We firmly believe that. Our future is here in North Wales. We don't have a desire to go beyond North Wales. We think that it's a fantastic place to be located. I've pretty much said my thing. I tend to rant a little bit when when we talk about the future, and it's because I really do feel strongly that there's so much potential here that we just need to believe in and push forward with. And I'll just end on that note. Thank you for inviting me. I hope that you've enjoyed the short film, and if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring. So can I just ask, does anybody want to ask either the David any questions? Yes, check out the back.
Out of the staff, how many are full-time?
Okay, so we've probably got about 90 full-time staff, 40 part-time staff. It's impossible to have 130 full-time staff in this area. And Menai Bridge is fairly consistent. We pretty much, we take a little bit of a dip through the winter months, but, with Ysbyty Gwynedd on our doorstep, with Bangor University on our doorstep, and the cities of Carnarvon, Bangor, and the whole of Anglesey, we can draw enough people in the quieter months, to keep the business going. Criccieth's more of a challenge, and we've had to kind of really think hard about how we operate in Criccieth through the quieter months. And again, I was explaining, sometimes we feel that we're fighting with one hand tied behind our back in Criccieth, because unless there's a critical mass of hospitality businesses prepared to tough it out through the winter months, you're kind of fighting that battle on your own. And, traditionally, I think Criccieth has sort of closed down in January and February. I think we've got to kind of try to see beyond that. And if everybody opens, people will come. If the high street just has closed on it, people will drive through to Porthmadog, they'll go to Betsycoed, they'll go to Plas Heli, they'll just drive straight through. But, if the castle stays lit, I mean, this is the thing that really kind of peed me off, was that Gwynedd Council, Cadw or National Trust, whichever is the responsible party, closed the bloody castle down in January and February, and that's just a massive kind of, disincentive for anyone to stop and park. A little bit of joined up thinking and people kind of hoping to benefit. Maybe you're not open 7 days a week, but maybe you can open Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's worth it. We can tell you that. We can show you the experience of that. So, we're going to stay open again all through the winter. We're going to close Sunday night, Mondays and Tuesdays for about 6 weeks in January and February. But the rest of the time we're going to be open. And we say to our staff, work a few more hours through the summer and take a few more hours off in the winter. We try and schedule their holidays so that we don't have to let anyone go, that we can keep the whole team together. And ensure, if we get 10% year-on-year growth, which is easily achievable, within 3 years we'll be breaking even through the winter months and may possibly even into profit. But it's for us, losing a member of staff is a big deal. From a personal point of view, I have great working relationships with all our team. From a business point of view, it's a massive investment gone into training and development, which we don't want to lose because, it suddenly goes quiet on the high street. So we've got to really constantly be trying to create the conditions for operating all year round with as many permanent staff as we possibly can.
Anything else?
Very briefly, one I'd like to ask you in private, but the other one, I had a meeting. We came into your place the other morning for coffee, and it's something I'd asked on site previously. Coffee goes down so much better with a bacon butty, David. When are you going to make?
No. Again, we're not going to do that because we're not trying to. We won't show football matches in our restaurant. We won't show bacon. We won't have bacon butties, and we won't sell fish and chips because there's a great chippy in the town. There's a great pub where you can go and watch football, and there's some great cafes that you can get a bacon butty. And to be honest, we stick to what we do well. And again, it's about not trying to take all the pieces of the jigsaw, and we've got to be respectful of what others do really well in the town. So we just, there's certain things that we just don't do because we know that others do that better.
That's a good lesson for us all, I would say.
Well, the coffee might not be as good down there, but if the bacon buddy's good, then you vote with your feet at the end of the day, don't you?
Anybody else? Wayne?
What part of your marketing budget is most effective in your opinion?
Okay, so you'll be surprised to hear that we don't actually have a marketing budget. We don't. We work in-house with everything. We use our own staff. Gemma, who was a waitress, is now our events coordinator and works with me on everything. We have Liam Garrow, who's a director, who's worked with me for the last 15 years. He's a great visual communicator. He does all our graphic design, so that's everything is in-house. I've worked in design my whole career, and I've worked with Liam for 15 years. When we set up the project, Liam was brought in as a director to help us communicate, make our visual communications. We use social media. We don't spend a penny on advertising. We just see that there are more direct and efficient routes to communicate. And everything that we do is about communication. Every member of our front of house team is a communicator. We empower every member of staff to get that message across about what Dillon's is. We continue to develop our relationship with the community, the whole kind of engagement. I didn't even mention the work that we do going into schools, we go into every primary school in the area. We go into high schools. We go into colleges, Llandrillo Menai and Dalgellau, and we go in twice a year wherever we can, and we kind of communicate that message. One, we're looking for staff. Two, we're trying to get across messages about healthy eating and sustainability. And three, we're promoting our business to those who are really influential in terms of the decisions that parents make as to where to eat. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? We know that if the kids like going to that place, mum and dad are bound to go. It gives them an easy night. So I've spent my life working in design and marketing, and in every business that I've had, we've never paid for advertising. We have a good PR. We use a company called Atom, who we picked up 3 years ago because of their kind of their network within the local area, and we work very well with them. We get really good press because I think we do interesting things, and we're an interesting story. We're an interesting proposition. I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I just understand the way that the media works. And as long as we're making a good story, people will write about us. Sometimes it backfires, because if you're an interesting story and they've got something on us, that they'll trash us with it. But we take that. We know that that's a kind of it's a two-sided coin. But fundamentally, we market ourselves. We work inwardly, marketing as a percentage of overall budget is an infinitesimal. It's a small part, but we put a lot of our own time and energy and human resources into communicating the brand.
Okay, I think we're going to have to call it a day there. But thank you very much. Thank you. Hand over to Geraint. Geraint's going to talk about one of our ESF funding streams that we've got at Grŵp Llandrillo Menai. Yes, it is Europe, so I'm sorry, Geraint, you've got the last
I can't
and
avoid
you're
the
talking
question.
about Europe. Thank you very much.
Yeah, as Leslie just said, it is a European social funded project called the C Project. Can't avoid the question, it is a European social funded project, but the good news is the funding is secured. You know, this was signed off months ago. The funding is secured for the next over 2 years. Another question you'll probably have is, what does C stand for? C stands for Skills for Employers and Employees. It's a partnership between ourselves, Coleg Cambria and WEA. It runs from, well, it started now, and it runs to December 2018. There's actually 2 projects really. The first project is aimed at employees of a low skill level, so aiming to get them skilled up to a level 2. Now a level 2, for those who aren't familiar, is equivalent to sort of 5 GCSEs or an MBQ level 2. The second project is a part of funding which is aimed at more technical, higher level skills, so level 3, sort of A levels, MBQ level 3, right up to foundation degrees, HNCs. So who qualifies for this in terms of location? The good news is it's a whole of the North Wales region, so all the 6 counties qualify. So we'll incorporate most of the businesses. And just so you've got a sort of idea of the scale of the project, we're aiming to work with over 4,000 participants on Project 1 and just nearly 2,500 on Project 2. So it's a massive project for the North Wales region, one we're very fortunate to have. So the target sectors we're working with, I missed a trick here, I put down some of the competitors' pictures there. We're looking to work with, there's no surprise, we're working with the Welsh Government, the energy and the environment sector. Given the huge scale of investment, particularly with the new Wilva coming to this area over the next 10 years, it's a big priority area to upskill staff within this region. There's a statistic which I keep telling people about, is that 80% of the energy sector will be retired within the next 10 years. You know, given the scale of Wilva and the developments for the next 30 years, it's quite a worrying statistic really, and one that we need to address now to really invest in this sector and the skills of the staff. Manufacturing remains a big priority for this region. You know, we only have to look at D-side and areas like that where there's still some huge manufacturers, some huge businesses there, and it's important that we maintain and upskill staff within that region. We've just heard from 2 of the leading food and tourism and hospitality businesses within this region today, and the importance of investing in skills and the difficulty with recruitment really. This project really gives you the chance to invest in your staff, diversify their skills and upskill them. The outdoor sector, again, you know, we've had huge investments. We've got some of the most fantastic resources now in North Wales. You know, David was saying there, we're rivaling the likes of the Lake District now, and it's really important that we upskill our staff to make sure they've got the skills to develop the potential and to utilise these resources we now have. Digital and ICT, again, David mentioned about the use of social media. You don't need massive budgets now, massive advertising budgets. You know, this project is a real chance to utilise and build on the skills of your existing staff, to give them social media skills, to really build your brand. And you know, you can get in touch with a global market at the touch of the button now at very, very little cost, but it is the skills that we're missing as opposed to the huge marketing budgets. So, you know, we've just got a brand new apprenticeship in social media, and it's ideal for small businesses really, you know, who haven't got a huge budget to invest in their staff and give them those skills to build the brands. Construction, it's no surprise that that's a target sector given the huge developments in the likes of energy, etc. You know, there's a massive amount of development on the construction side of things needed over the immediate future, the next 4 or 5 years. You know, there's a shortage of housing in this area. So again, it's a priority for the Welsh Government to upskill people in that area. I don't know if you can read that, I'll just talk through it in terms of the project eligibility, so who qualifies for this project. The good news is all business, regardless of size, from your sole traders to your multinational businesses, they qualify for this. The important thing is that you've got a business address in the North Wales region. Again, it can be private businesses and it can also be public sector businesses if they link into one of the priority sectors that I've just spoke about. As I said, any company size in the past, large businesses have missed out, small businesses have missed out. The good news is with this part of funding is, you know, from your sole traders, your one-man bands, right through to your large businesses employing over 500 staff, all qualify for this project. So it's open to all staff, regardless of whether you're part-time, up to director level, so all staff can access this funding. In terms of the participants, there's an eligibility. It's standard stuff really. We need to, they need to have the legal right to live in the UK, to work in the UK. It's important they're 16 and over. There's no upper age bracket in terms of age. And in terms of qualifications, to access the first project, you can't have high-level qualifications. It has to be, no skills or no qualifications. To access the second project, the more technical skills, you have to have a minimum of the 5 GCSEs to access that. So there is a bit of a qualifying criteria. Okay, so how exactly does this funding work? With other projects in the past, there's been a one-off fee, the VODL. I'm sure a few of you in the room benefited from the project called the VODL. This one's slightly different in that with the VODL, we found that a lot of people were doing training just for the sake of it because it was free. With this project, it's much more concentrated in that there's up to 80% funding available for the courses. You make a contribution of 20% for a small business for that particular course. Now, all courses are accredited qualifications, so your members of staff are gaining an actual qualification. As I said, there's public sector eligibility as well, so public sector being probably the largest employer within the North Wales region, it opens a lot of opportunities for them to develop their staff as well. And again, as a college, we've listened to what employers want. Businesses like David's, where the hours are difficult to release staff, we're trying to be as flexible as possible. So evening training, weekend training is available under this project. So it's our job to listen to you, to find out when you want the training and how we can meet your requirements. There's more of a focus really on this pot of funding with longer qualifications. So there's a lot of MVQs now involved. There is some shorter qualifications. We've got things like electrical qualifications, the shorter electrical qualifications involved. But as I said, it's mainly the longer length qualifications. So in terms of our offer at Grŵp Llandrillo Menai, we've got, as I said, the MVQs. Now, MVQs in the past were just literally, your customer service, your business admin. There's MVQs now in all sectors and in all fields and disciplines. We've got them in wind turbines, as I mentioned, the social media, there's welding, real technical skills now available in MVQs. As I said, the short course qualifications, the electrical, some of the courses at Glenllivon in our sector there. And business and professional courses as well. There's going to be funding available for your management training, for accountancy qualifications, for marketing, the CIM and marketing is going to be available under this funding. So, there's opportunities, and given your location as well, you often will miss out on things, at our Plas campus, but if we can get together cohorts, groups between 8 and 12, we'll be able to deliver these qualifications here locally as well. That's the message. Foundation degree units as well. We're also looking at developing a suite of foundation degree units. So these are parts of the foundation degree. For example, I've been talking to our hospitality team and we're looking at a qualification and specifically in food photography. So there'll be courses like that where you can gain a qualification in quite unique skills, which we hope will benefit some of the hospitality businesses. And business Welsh, it's important that we promote our language and we make that accessible to all businesses within the region. This is, I've taken this off social media, it's a bit of a cliche, what happens if we invest in developing our people and they leave us? you know, what happens if they stay and we don't invest? I worked with a business last year, and this was his gripe. He said, "Oh, I don't want to invest in my staff. The moment they get qualifications, they'll leave me." And I disagree, to be honest. You know, you've got to look to the future. You've got to develop their skills now, really, for the future. You know, this project, this funding, we don't know what the future is, you know, in terms of funding. We do know this is the immediate, and this is here for 2 years. So take advantage of this funding now. Invest in your staff for the skills they're going to need in the future now. It also demonstrates values, you know, to employees that you're willing to invest. And it's been proven, the opposite to what I said before, that it does improve staff retention, it does improve loyalty if you'll give them time and invest some money in their training. Statistically improving to improve, obviously, productivity, performance, and the overall competitiveness of your business. So, you know, this is an opportunity for you. This is just some testimonials from local businesses who have benefited in the past from similar schemes to this, you know, and just to testify what I just said really about improving the loyalty and upskilling their workforce and the benefits it's brought to them. Just moving forward now then, in terms of, you know, how you can access this funding, we've got a team in the room today of business development advisors who their job is to sit down with yourselves, to go through your requirements, to look at your future skills needs, and to tap into projects like this. Now, this is just, at the moment, we're quite fortunate. There's some other European social funded projects. You know, the Jobs Growth Wales scheme, that's still available. Take advantage of these schemes now before they disappear. We've got 2 years to really maximise these opportunities. Apprentices as well. You know, as I said, there's a massive skills gap. You know, we've got an ageing workforce. Invest in the young people now to stop these problems in the future. The business development advisors are in the room today. Yona's based locally. Take advantage of seeing Yona today. Book an appointment with Yona and you know, let her understand and get a better understanding of your business and your future needs. Thank you very much.
We have got lots of BDAs in the room. Obviously, a number of us are going to be staying on. We're here, you know, for the rest of the morning. So please, if you want to stay, network with people, have a chat. Otherwise, we've finished early, so at least you can get to work and be on time. So thank you very much. Thanks for everybody for coming.